Hollywood sure is a tough, unforgiving industry where having feelings is a fool's game and careers are both made and broken on the simplest of whims. The most talented actors in the world can struggle to put food on the table, while mediocre performers with the right combination of looks and good timing can become overnight sensations. Practically any successful actor will be all too familiar with rejection earlier in their career, but it's how an actor deals with that rejection which may well define their future in the business. These 10 actors have all certainly gone on to do terrific and enormously successful things in Hollywood, though not without being spectacularly shot down for roles which they either auditioned for or at least thought themselves in the running for. No matter the gig, the outcome in each case was an ego-bruising loss of a potential role, which highlighted one undeniable truth. Behind even the most recognisable A-list actor resides both a deeply vulnerable human being and a colossal ego. I am Kirsten from What Culture, and these are 10 movie actors who really couldn't handle casting rejections. Number 10. Lawrence Fishburne sued after losing Samuel L. Jackson's role in Die Hard with a Vengeance. Though it's tough to imagine the third Die Hard movie as anything other than a ludicrously entertaining two-hander between Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson, the latter's role of Zeus Carver was originally offered to none other than the brilliant Lawrence Fishburne. Fishburne responded by asking for a larger fee, prompting producer Andy Vajna to stall negotiations, hoping that the actor would buckle. In the meantime, Vajna attended Pulp Fiction's world premiere at the Cannes Film Festival to support his pal Bruce Willis, and after seeing Jackson's eventually Oscar-nominated performance in the film, offered him the part of Zeus instead. As a result, Fishburne ended up suing Vajna's production company, Synergy, for $2 million in damages for breach of contract, claiming that a verbal agreement was gone back upon. The outcome of the lawsuit, however, hasn't ever been stated publicly. In an added bout of irony, Fishburne was also the first choice to play Jackson's role of Jules Winfield in Pulp Fiction, but Fishburne's reps talked him out of it amid concerns he'd be stuck playing supporting roles for the rest of his career. Number 9. Charlize Theron was furious at being offered Wonder Woman's mother instead of Wonder Woman. It's no secret that ageism is rampant throughout Hollywood, and the deck is stacked no higher than against women entering middle age. Case in point, we have Charlize Theron, who, upon learning from her reps that Hollywood was casting the role of Wonder Woman for the DCEU, retorted that she didn't even know that much about the character and needed to know more before considering it. At that point, she was informed that Warner Brothers was actually looking at her not for Diana Pryce, but in fact that of Wonder Woman's mother, Queen Hippolyta. Theron cited it as a crossing over moment in her career, where she recognised that she was no longer a young actress, despite only being around 40 years of age at the time. Wonder Woman was of course eventually played by Gal Gadot, who is almost a decade younger than Theron, while Hippolyta was played by Connie Nielsen, who is nearly a decade older. Go figure. Number 8. Ryan Reynolds is terrified his awful audition for Inside Llewyn Davis will surface one day. It's tough to imagine a man of Ryan Reynolds' confidence and swagger ever bombing an audition, and yet that's exactly what happened when he tried out for a major role in Coen Brothers' acclaimed drama Inside Llewyn Davis. Though Reynolds hasn't confirmed exactly which part he auditioned for, it's evidently either Oscar Isaac's lead role or, probably more likely, one of the supporting parts played by Adam Driver and Justin Timberlake. Reynolds said this of his mortifying audition. I auditioned and failed for the Coen Brothers. It wasn't the right fit, mostly because they're very high class. They were just quietly shaking their heads like, what are you doing here? Do you have a SAG card? I was never a great auditioner. I had to sing, I'm a nervous singer, and it was pretty bad. It's one of those auditions that was so bad that I look back and think, what if that tape surfaces at some point? That'll be the death of me. Yeah, that was pretty awful. We can only hope that video might one day materialise online. Number 7. Ashley Judd sued Harvey Weinstein for torpedoing her Lord of the Rings audition. Once Harvey Weinstein's pervasive sexual harassment allegations were brought to light, actress Ashley Judd filed her own lawsuit against the Miramax boss for allegedly torpedoing her career after she refused to sleep with him in the late 1990s. Judd claimed that she was being tipped for a major role in Peter Jackson's The Lord of the Rings trilogy and had even met with Jackson over playing a number of different parts, after which she abruptly never heard from the director again. Judd long suspected that Weinstein had blackballed her among the Hollywood elite, and shortly after Weinstein's transgressions surfaced, Jackson indeed confirmed that Weinstein had called both her and Mira Sorvino, another actress up for rings who similarly rejected Weinstein's advances. Nightmarish actresses to be avoided at all costs. You certainly can't argue with Judd's entirely justified bitterness losing an extremely lucrative role, most likely either Arwen, played by Liv Tyler, or Galadriel, played by Cate Blanchett, as well as her career momentum on the whims of an industry tyrant. Number 6. January Jones almost quit movies after her disastrous Coyote Ugly audition. January Jones came to prominence in the late 2000s after winning the role of Betty Draper on the hit TV series Mad Men, and subsequently appeared as Emma Frost in X-Men First Class. But almost a decade prior to landing her career-making part on Mad Men, Jones auditioned for a certain 2000 cult classic musical drama, the inimitable Coyote Ugly. Years later, Jones admitted that she blew the audition so spectacularly as to almost quit the industry entirely. The audition required her to perform a pole dance for producer Jerry Bruckheimer, without an actual pole. She said, "It was the second audition I think I had ever done, and I had the reading for the acting part, and then Jerry Bruckheimer wanted me to come in and dance. They said, 'You're gonna dance to Prince's Kiss. You're gonna pole dance, but there is no pole.' I kind of pretended there was a pole, and I just turned beet red. It was awful, and he said something like, 'Honey, you did a great reading, but you've got no rhythm.' I called my agent and said, 'I don't want to do this anymore. This sucks.'" The role of protagonist Violet Sanford was eventually played by Piper Perabo, and everything clearly worked out well enough for Jones in the end. Hilariously, she did run into Bruckheimer years later, however, and upon her mentioning the incident, he claimed to have no memory of it at all. Phew. Number 5. Henry Cavill got called chubby during his Casino Royale audition, but used it as motivation. As much as Henry Cavill might present himself as an unflappable pillar of suave confidence these days, as a younger actor his insecurities were prodded when he auditioned for the coveted role of James Bond in 2006's Casino Royale reboot. Cavill, who was in his early 20s when the part was being cast, was asked to reenact a scene from the second Bond film, From Russia with Love, in which Sean Connery's 007 appeared wearing only a towel. In a recent interview, Cavill recalled this excruciating experience of having his physicality questioned by director Martin Campbell. "I probably could have prepared better. I remember the director, Martin Campbell, saying, 'Looking a little chubby there, Henry.' I didn't know how to train or diet. I wasn't ecstatic about not getting these things, but I was so used to disappointment from the acting business and also from boarding school. No, you're not good enough. That wasn't anything new to me." Cavill added that he ultimately used Campbell's brutally honest comment as motivation to get in shape, which eventually led him to winning the role of Superman years later. He added, "I'm glad Martin said something, because I respond well to truth. It helps me get better." Number 4. Sean Young turned up at Tim Burton's office dressed as Catwoman for Batman Returns. In perhaps the most infamous case of an actor refusing to take no for an answer, Blade Runner star Sean Young initially won the role of Vicky Vale in Tim Burton's Batman, but after breaking her arm during rehearsals was ultimately replaced by Kim Basinger. Long after Young's arm had healed, Burton was prepping to shoot Batman Returns, prompting Young to make a rather ambitious and overzealous bid for the role of Catwoman. The actress not only attempted to contact both Burton and star Michael Keaton, but even made her own Catwoman costume, which she wore for an appearance on The Joan Rivers Show, before turning up at the film's production offices suited up and demanding an audition. Young ultimately didn't read for the part and was shut out of the process entirely, with Annette Bening eventually winning the role. However, after she fell pregnant, Michelle Pfeiffer was brought in to replace her. In a recent interview, the eccentric Young insisted she still got what it takes to play Catwoman. Who knows, if these Warner Brothers executives were really good businessmen, they'd let me play Catwoman today, and I'd make a smash amount of money. But they're too stupid. You can lead people to water, but you can't make them great artists. Nobody wants to take that risk, it's too scary. If they're wrong, it can cost them their job. If they really were good businessmen over there, I'd be an obvious no-brainer. But I'm not running the studio. Well, you can't doubt her passion or persistence, that's for sure. Number 3, Crispin Glover filed a lawsuit after he was recast for Back to the Future Part 2. The curious case of Crispin Glover and Back to the Future Part 2 is an especially interesting one, because Glover of course already played the part of Marty McFly's father George in the first movie. But when production was ramping up for the sequel, Glover balked at being offered just $125,000 to return, which he claimed was not equivalent to what other supporting cast members were being offered to reprise their roles. As a result, Glover was dismissed from the film, resulting in George's planned role being significantly reduced, with the character now depicted through a combination of archive footage shot from the original movie and new actor Jeffrey Wiseman wearing prosthetics to resemble Glover. This led to Glover filing a landmark legal challenge against the producers, arguing that they had no right to use his likeness in the sequel. The suit was eventually settled out of court and resulted in the Screen Actors Guild introducing new guidelines to prevent film productions from using effects to appropriate actors' likeness without their permission. Though Glover later claimed he would have had no problem whatsoever had the producers simply hired another actor to play him sans prosthetics, one imagines he must have felt at least a slight tinge of satisfaction at sticking it to a production which apparently wouldn't pay him his fair share. Number 2, Nicole Scherzinger was devastated at losing Baywatch to Kelly Rohrbach. Former Pussycat Dolls singer turned actress Nicole Scherzinger attempted to make her big break into Hollywood by auditioning for the much sought after part of CJ Parker in 2017's Baywatch reboot. CJ was of course the role played by Pamela Anderson in the original TV series, while the part in the new movie was ultimately played by model/actress Kelly Rohrbach. Scherzinger claimed that she began an intensive daily workout regime to get her beach bod in shape for the audition, stating that she was hell-bent on winning the role of CJ. Obviously, she didn't win the part and added that she was devastated upon learning it'd been given to someone else. And in a comment that may or may not have been sarcastic, she added, "What is my year? What is my life if I'm not in Baywatch?" Number 1, Kevin Spacey complained about losing work following sexual assault allegations. There's no denying that Kevin Spacey's life and career were changed forever in late 2017, when numerous sexual assault allegations were levelled against him, resulting in his swift dismissal from both Ridley Scott's All the Money in the World and his lucrative Netflix series House of Cards. Spacey hasn't appeared in a theatrically released film since June 2017's Baby Driver, and it goes without saying that he's now effectively persona non grata in Hollywood, unable to find himself cast in even the most unassuming straight-to-VOD productions. Still, that hasn't stopped Spacey periodically posting bizarre videos to social media in which he continually refutes the allegations. In a cringeworthy recent interview, he even claimed to sympathise with those losing their jobs due to current events, likening it to his own lost employment as a result of the allegations against him. Spacey said, "And so, while we may have found ourselves in similar situations, albeit for very different reasons, I still feel that some of the emotional struggles are very much the same. And so I do have empathy for what it feels like to suddenly be told that you can't go back to work, or that you might lose your job, and it's a situation that you have absolutely no control over." Unsurprisingly, many saw Spacey's comments as tone deaf, not least that he's enormously wealthy, but also that his situation is quite clearly self-inflicted. And there we go, the 10 movie actors who just couldn't handle getting rejected from their auditions. So let us know down below if you enjoyed this video, and if you did, give it a thumbs up as well. But if you haven't clicked that subscribe button, then I very much recommend you do. But for now, I have been Kirsten from What Culture, and I will see you in the next video.